In this day and age, if something's wrong, people expect police officers to know the difference when it conflicts with their police training. There's no greater example than in Derek Chauvin case. It's alleged that his training was to apply his knee on the shoulder blade of George Floyd, but the autopsy report showed bruises on his shoulder blade, on George Floyd's shoulder blade, but not his back. So it's pretty consistent with the training that he had was, was the maximum something technique. There was some technique that they were trained in. Bruce Rivers, a guy on YouTube, has talked about how that might not be in compliance with law. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe now that's true, because I could see, the state legislature there passing a law where there shall be no knees on necks. I could see that. That makes sense. It shows a very dangerous blind spot for law enforcement that I don't think they realize how dangerous it is when policy conflicts with law. It's a dangerous blind spot because it is a blind spot. If there is policy that conflicts with law, the confirmation bias is so strong in law enforcement, they will have no clue that it's against the law. And I think it's something that law enforcement should address. They have to start with, there might be some things in policy that are not in accordance with law. They're so blind to it, they have no clue. And I only say this because I want the best for our law enforcement. But something they need to get ahead of is the reality that people expect you to do the right thing, and that there may be some policies that are not in complete compliance with law. And it's unfortunate that an officer has to get to that level to where they have to dissect policy, because officers are not lawyers. Hell, even lawyers don't understand, don't always understand all of this. They have to research this for a reason. Through the eyes of someone that's been through law school and been barred, right? Or accepted into the bar. What would be a reasonable expectation on an officer if, for whatever reason, there was a conflict with Texas law and policy? What is a reasonable expectation of an officer knowing that? Now, ultimately, a court will have to decide this. Okay, I'm not a lawyer, I'm a layman. This is not legal advice. Go talk to a lawyer. But I think it's going to come down to, being open-minded in the leadership of a department. Being receptive to even their subordinates saying, hey, this policy right here, we should look at that. I think that's very important. If they could somehow work that into where it's like, hey, if there's some policy that you think is there's a problem here, we need to look at that. All right. And get with whoever their appointed counsel is, right? Legal professionals. The policy seems to be accepted as the word of God in law enforcement, pretty much. Cover your basics in what law is. Use your common sense. What would any other person think if they knew the totality of the circumstance here? Stick with the most important aspects of law. Make sure you're following the foundation documents, the constitutional documents, the constitution of your state and your federal government. Those are pretty high up there, because if you have some policy that's not following that, that could be a problem, especially if someone takes it to a court. And these days, there's cameras everywhere. People are getting legal representation. Things are coming into court that never came into court for ever. And put it in the judge's hands. Let him deal with that. He'll love it.